Morning. Today I'm going to do a basic introduction for what it is exactly that I do here at Glass by Matt. So what I have here is a Carlisle torch. It's an older model. Basically, it's a surface mix torch, which means that the gas and the oxygen mix on the surface of this torch. So that way you don't have to worry about, as you adjust your heat, your gas and your oxygen, you don't have to worry about it sucking back into the torch, which creates a loud popping noise, somewhat like a gunshot, which can often damage the inside of the torch. It has two settings here. Put in the gas and a little bit of oxygen, you can get a nice, fine, sharp flame like that. You can throw a lot of fire like that, or you can turn on the outer ring of burners, and you get something more like that. Nice, massive flame, which is great for when you're working a large portion of glass. Now, typically what I'm doing is called flame working, and flame working basically means taking things such as glass rod or tubing and turning them into things. This would be as opposed to more traditional glass blowing, which would be melting glass down inside of an oven, adding a color mixture to it, and then fishing it out on a blowpipe, rolling it, blowing it, forming it with various things, and then popping it into an oven when you were done. That tends to be the one that people most associate with when they think glass blower. Flame working is a little bit different. In some ways it's a little more forgiving, in other ways not. One of the advantages is that you're able to work smaller. Because I can work smaller, it means that I can do a little bit more in the way of details than I can if I need to go stick it into an oven and let it anneal, even out in terms of its strain and temperature, and then if I have to, put on some gloves, fish it back out, and continue to work. Whereas with more traditional glass blowing, such things are much more difficult, considering that you have to keep the blowpipe spinning, and basically if you stop, the glass is so heavy it begins to sag down, and you lose your project. In fact, I remember reading in a magazine, or I heard it in a documentary, that I think as much as 25% in more professional shops, as much as 75% in the average shop, of things made in a hot shop get scrapped. You know, there was cracking, didn't quite turn out the way you wanted it, the color didn't set right or strike properly, and as a result, you got to throw it and you got to start again. So there's a high level of turnover, and materials can be cheap or fairly expensive. So this is just an introduction. I often find myself working with various colors. Some I have here right now. This is a very nice red color. You really can't see it all that well. Oh, sorry, here's the red. This is a nice black. This red is formed using borosilicate glass and copper oxide. The copper yields a very nice red, and as a result, when you work it very hot, it starts to lose its color, becomes clear, but then as soon as it anneals, the copper redistributes amongst the glass and returns to the original red color. So it's a very stable color to work with, very fun. You also have colors like this one. This is a yellow rod. Because this one is opaque, it's not translucent, the color on it is a little less stable in that it can bubble away, and when it bubbles away, it stays away. And you end up with this really nasty, spongy-looking color, which is quite inappropriate. But if you properly preheat it and work it, then it will return to this same color almost immediately. Very good for accents. I find that depending on the nature of the piece you're making, you might want to use more translucent colors, such as the red that I showed you. Colors such as this, if you can see here in the camera, the sunlight is catching it. It has a nice glow to it, a nice shine. And this is typically, I think, when people think of glass accent pieces, pendants, things like that, this is what you're thinking of. This is what really makes it stand out. More solid colors, such as this orange here, they're not very. See, they're not translucent at all. They're really only good for accenting pieces that have already been worked. Pretty much, a color like this is something where you're not going to be, it's not trying to catch any light, you're not trying to play any eye tricks on anyone. You just want a straight solid orange, or whatever color you may be using. So that's all for now. Just a little introduction to what it is that I do, and hopefully in the coming weeks I'll be putting up more videos of various projects. They usually don't go by quickly, so they'll probably come up in segments. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.